Have you ever had an inexplicable gut feeling that someone was lying to you? Do you find it difficult to captivate and sustain people's attention? Do you often wonder if your posture, gesticulation, and facial expressions are appropriate to the situation? Or maybe you have trouble reading nonverbal signals that people emit, perhaps during encounters of a romantic nature. My name is Roy Narayan. I'm a medical doctor with over 20 years of experience in self-improvement training. I have created this course to help you solve these and many other problems by teaching you the art of body language. In the next 2 hours, you will learn how to control your body to look and feel more confident during your business and social interactions. We will go over every aspect of body language, be it the most obvious hand and leg gestures, or even the difficult to grasp and understand eyeball movements. If you follow this course diligently, your insight into the human nature will be profound enough for you to use that knowledge to succeed in your business endeavors. However, we will also touch the subject of amorous and flirtatious gestures. Remember, there is no risk involved. Watch our preview videos to confirm that this is exactly the course you must take. Body language is a hurricane of signals that are flowing from your body. These signals are displayed by means of facial expressions, eye movements, body posture, as well as arm and hand gestures. It is also related to the amount of space the body requires and the way you touch others during the interaction. These are the signals that will announce your true thoughts. These are the signals that will reveal your feelings and intentions. If you are able to understand and interpret these signals, then you are on your way to unriddling people's true identity. Your face-to-face encounter will not be preceded anymore by the feeling of apprehension. It will simply give rise to confidence and self-security. This, in turn, will open the door to success in any undertaking involving people. By applying the appropriate nonverbal signals, you will reinforce your communication skills and hence your relationship with others. People formulate an opinion of you during the first few minutes of the conversation, and their opinion is predominantly based on what they see. They rely on the story that is being told by the body and not by the vocal cords. During the conversation, they may therefore experience a strange, inexplicable gut feeling that the speaker is being insincere. And this is simply because the body is broadcasting signals that contradict the verbal message. On the other hand, however, the body movements may be in cohesion with the verbal content. This will serve to amplify the message the speaker is conveying. As a result, they will be able to capture and sustain people's attention and gain their respect and admiration. Remember, it is not what you say, It is how you use your body to embellish your message. Researchers have shown that some nonverbal signals are inborn or genetically transported, whereas others are learned or acquired. For example, a newborn baby has a natural urge to suck their mom's nipple or their own fingers. This is called the sucking reflex that began way back inside the wombs of their mothers. Now, this clearly demonstrates that the sucking reflex is either inborn or genetic. In addition to the ingestion of milk, it evokes a soothing effect. As a result, the baby regains the feeling of safety and harmony that was provided in the mother's womb. The sucking reflex becomes more refined as we grow older. Adults will not suck their fingers when they want to calm and comfort themselves in distressing situations. It simply does not behoove an adult to behave like that. Instead, they would put an object on their lips or in their mouth. And the object can be whatever they have within reach. It could be a pen, pencil, pipe, or the arm of their glasses. I vividly remember the reaction of an ex-soldier whom I had been coaching. He was well built, confident, and gave the impression that he was a man with high self-esteem. Even though it was not necessary, he always had a notebook and a pen within reach. Every time, and I repeat, every time he found himself in an uncomfortable situation or had to analyze something, he inserted the pen into his mouth. The reaction was instantaneous and involuntary, and the pen was kept in his mouth until he regained the feeling of security or had come up with a solution. It was beyond his control, and he was totally unaware of this reflex until I brought it to his attention. It was then that he made it his duty to consciously work on himself to eliminate this gesture. After all, no one wants to be seen inserting different objects into their mouth during their interaction with others, be it a social interaction or a business encounter. People smile genuinely when they feel happy, content, or when they recall or envision a cheerful situation. The smile covers the whole face and puts warmth into the eyes. Now, the mere fact that the smiling expression appears on the faces of children who were born blind proves that it is an inborn gesture that is triggered by the brain. Other facial gestures that are simply a reflection of our feelings are also involuntary. It is therefore conceivable that different cultures across the globe will use the same basic facial gestures to expose their emotions. It is the same with the arm fold gesture, which is considered to be genetically inherited. The arm fold gesture is the act of crossing one arm on top of the other arm over the chest. Whenever this gesture is induced, the same arm, right or left, will always be on top of the other. In fact, people find it extremely difficult to correctly define which one of their arms is usually placed on top. They need to actually execute this action in order to find out. Try the following experiment. Firstly, fold your arms without thinking about it. Afterwards, define which arm is on the top. This will produce a feeling of comfort. Everything seems to have fallen into place. Now try to cross your arms again, but with the other arm on top. Is it easy to accomplish? Of course not. And after you have eventually accomplished it, does it make you feel comfortable? Of course not. You feel as if something was out of place. You feel uncomfortable. And this is simply because the arm fold gesture is genetically transferred. We have no influence on this body movement. Whenever we feel insecure or intimidated, or we disagree with our interlocutor, the brain sends a command to the limbs. This results in the arm cross over the chest to protect the heart and regain the feeling of comfort and security. The OK gesture is the act of joining the thumb and the index finger to form a circle or ring. The other fingers are held in an upright position in the air. The OK sign means OK in America and other English-speaking countries. However, it has different meanings in different countries. In France and Belgium, it means zero or nothing or worthless. So, can you imagine how your French host would feel or react if you use the OK gesture to compliment her after a great meal? She would probably use her middle finger and show you the way out of her house. In Japan, it means money because the fingers join to form a coin. If you use this gesture to show your satisfaction during a business encounter, your host may think that you are asking for a bribe. And of course, this may have a negative impact on the outcome of the interaction. In some Mediterranean countries, the OK gesture is used to depict a private body orifice. A Greek may think that you or he is homosexual. Well, of course, if it were true, that's no problem. In Brazil, it is equivalent to the middle finger. So when you go to a bar in Brazil and you have enjoyed your beer, do not use this gesture to express your satisfaction. It would be advisable to use words to express yourself. The thumbs up gesture is commonly used to show approval and satisfaction. In North America and most parts of Europe, hitchhikers will use this signal to indicate that they need a lift. However, in certain parts of the Middle East or Greece, it is highly offensive and it means get stuffed. So can you imagine the consternation and anger a North American hitchhiker would create when hitchhiking a ride in Greece? Sure, they will stop and give you a lift. They will lift you up and let you go. And then they will leave their footprints on your face. The V sign is used to represent victory. It became popular during the Second World War by Winston Churchill. The index and middle finger are raised and parted. The remaining fingers are closed and the palm faces out. However, in Great Britain, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand, the two-finger signal with the palm facing in is the obscene and disrespectful version. Its essence is to get stuffed. The cockhole gesture is the act of raising the little finger and the index finger to form the horns of the bull. The remaining fingers are clenched like this. In America, this is a football gesture that is used to show the feeling of happiness and success. However, in Italy, it means that your wife is cheating on you. And it is probably the most extreme way to insult an Italian man and may have dire consequences. Nodding is a gesture that is used to demonstrate affirmation, agreement, or understanding. It is also a sign of recognition or acknowledgement of another person's presence. It is common in almost all cultures across the globe, with the exception of countries like Bulgaria, Greece, and Albania. A slow and lengthened nod shows that your interlocutor is analyzing your message and is in full agreement with you. They are interested in what you have to say and will give you time to express yourself. If it is accompanied with a warm smile, well, it shows that rapport has been created. Remember, when you nod, you actually encourage people to open up, and this allows you to control the flow of conversation. A series of fast and short nods show that the listener has understood your point, but is becoming impatient and would like you to move on to another point. It's like this. The faster the movements of the head, the more impatient the listener has become. In addition, they may also subconsciously touch their ear or cover the ear hole to nonverbally communicate their feelings. In this case, it would be advisable to move on to another topic, or at least allow the recipient to speak. Shaking the head is used to demonstrate disagreement or disapproval. It is common in almost all parts of the world, with the exception of countries like Bulgaria, Greece, and Albania. If the movement of the head is fast and rhythmic, like this, it implies an emphatic negation. A slow head shake, like this, may denote that the listener is in disagreement, but is still analyzing and trying to decode the message. So it's going slowly from left to right. It is of great importance to observe the angle of the head during the interaction. If there is harmony, mutual understanding, and acceptance during the interaction, the bodies and heads of the participants will be facing each other. When someone has lost interest in you, the brain will send signals to the body to literally drag the body away. The body starts to move away from you, and the feet will point towards the place of interest. This shows that you have been excluded from the conversation. Well, at first, the head will still be directed towards you. But once it starts to turn away from you together with the body, like this, you can be certain that you have been neglected. It is the final call for you to terminate the conversation and seek refuge elsewhere, in another part of the room, with more receptive and hospitable people. At least it will allow you to preserve your dignity. When we are truly in agreement with someone, the nodding gesture will be in congruence with the message and tone of voice. It looks as follows. Adam, I fully agree with you. I like your ideas and you can count on my help. As you can see, both the verbal and nonverbal signals are in accordance with each other. Conversely, if we are truly in disagreement with someone, the shaking of the head will be in alignment with the words we use and the tonality. It will be as follows. Adam, I'm inclined to disagree with you and will therefore not join you in your new endeavor. The nonverbal signals confirm the negative message. Even the arm joins in to supplement the head gesture. Unfortunately, in real life situations, it happens in a totally different way. Lying has become a way of life for us human beings for many reasons. We may not want to hurt someone or someone's feeling due to the relationship or due to the respect for that person. It therefore behooves us to be polite. So this is how it looks. Adam, I fully agree with you. I like your ideas and you can count on my help. I guess you have surely noticed the contradiction between the verbal and nonverbal signals. You are consciously saying yes, but the brain is moving the head from side to side to expose the intentions. In addition, your arms will also automatically cross over the chest or may be hidden behind the back to show negation. The eyes will be averted while telling the lie. Understanding how the head works may come in handy in multiple situations in life. In my next video, I will give you a few examples when the uncontrollable head movements betrayed its owner and allowed me to make the right decision. I clearly remember a past situation when I was negotiating my fee for self-improvement training in a multinational corporation. After 1 hour of negotiating, the HR director looked at me, smiled, and said, "We need your help, but I'm not sure if we can pay you that amount of money." The brain was forcing the head to move up and down, and the palms were rubbing against each other. The brain was telling me that it was ready to sign the contract. So 5 minutes later, the contract was secured. Let me give you another example. Many years ago, I had been trying to sell my apartment and had planned to do so without the help of the agency. The potential buyer inspected the whole apartment scrupulously, but his face was impassive. However, his body was broadcasting positive signals all the time. He was rubbing his palms together slowly, and there was a flicker of excitement in his eyes. When he saw the terrace, a quick smile flew across his face before it became impassive once again. The rubbing of the palm continued. At one point, he looked at me and said, "I cannot afford to pay that amount of money for the apartment." That was all I needed. I guided him back to the terrace and continued the conversation. 10 minutes later, we shook hands and made arrangements to meet at a notary office to close the deal. you see, he yearned to buy the apartment because he was getting good value for his money. However, it is natural for people to make a lower offer on properties. The only problem was that his brain was giving him away by shoving the head up and down, and by forcing the palms to rub together. Just to give you one last example. One day I was dining with an acquaintance in an exclusive restaurant. At the end of the meal, I reached for my wallet to handle the financial aspect of that meeting. My dining partner looked at me and said, "Roy, take it easy. I will cover the cost." I followed the instructions of his head and hands and paid for the meal. What is the message? Do not get excited and proud when someone, for example, your boss, says, "Bill, you have been great company. I have really enjoyed talking to you." Be careful. Observe the body movements, and you will know their true intentions. The eyes are considered to be the central point of the human body that will expose your true feelings. The pupils dilate or contract in order to regulate the amount of light entering the eye. The size of the pupils will also change involuntarily depending on your attitude and emotions. For example, when someone is excited, the size of the pupils will increase. If a woman is intimately interested in a man, the pupils will dilate significantly. Some men will decrypt this signal correctly and take the appropriate measures. When people are angry or disinterested, the pupils will contract and become beady. Remember, when you are communicating with others, look at the pupils and you will gather information about their true feelings. The amount of eye contact is also important. When someone maintains eye contact during the conversation, it shows that they are confident, honest, trustworthy, and that they are interested in what you are saying. This will surely allow you to feel at ease in their company, and it will pave the way to a fruitful relationship. When they avert their eyes a bit too often, they are subconsciously showing that they are insincere, insecure, and they are trying to conceal their true feelings, or they may simply be disinterested in you. This is the negative energy that will destroy the communication atmosphere. During a social encounter, people will look at the triangular region between the eyes and the lips. If the eyes stray away from the face to land and permanently reside on the chest, breast, or pelvic region, it would show the intention to seduce. During a business level discussion, the gaze is usually directed at the triangular region between the eyes and the forehead. This shows the intention to create a serious atmosphere. It is also the gaze that is used by a boss when reprehending a subordinate. Blinking is a natural movement of the eyelids, and the average frequency is about 6 to 10 times per minute. People will blink more rapidly when they are lying or feeling stressed or uncomfortable. However, it is worth remembering that someone may blink more often when they are attracted to you. In this case, the hyperactive eyelids will be accompanied by other signals. A woman may twirl or flip her hair or simply touch her hair. The more often this happens, the more interested they are in you. The eyeballs will involuntarily move in different directions during the conversation. When a right-handed person is trying to envision something from a past experience, the eyeballs will automatically move up and to the left. This is because they are calling on the visual memory for an answer. However, when that person is lying or trying to concoct or create a picture in their mind, the eyeballs will move up and to the right. These movements may be the opposite for a left-handed person. They will look up and to the right for a remembered picture. However, they will look up and to the left for constructed pictures when fabricating a lie. Based on this knowledge, you may now claim that it is difficult to determine whether or not someone were lying because you may not know if they were right-handed or left-handed. I agree. Well, one simple way to find out would be to ask different kinds of questions and observe the movements of the eyeballs. Try this experiment. Ask someone the following questions. What route do you take when driving to work? Which one of your co-workers is the most well-dressed? Now, in order to answer these questions, you need to call on your visual memory for remembered pictures. A right-handed person will look to the left, and a left-handed person will look to the right. Now ask the following questions that require visual constructions. How would your boss look if he were 2 times shorter or taller, fatter or slimmer, and only wearing his underwear? What would you do if you were publicly humiliated by your boss? In order to answer these types of questions, you would have to create a picture in your mind. Observe the movement of the eyes, because the same movement will be replicated when concocting a lie. Remember, people will construct new pictures when lying or being economical with the truth. Research has shown that over 80% of the message that is reaching the brain comes through the eyes. This means that if your interlocutor were looking at you when listening, they would surely understand the message you were conveying. So if you want to convince them, you need to control their gaze. Use a pen as a pointer when you want someone to look at the content of a document. When you want them to stop reading and look at you, move the pointer away from the document towards your face. Now you can continue speaking. They will understand you because they are now focusing on you. If someone were not looking at you when you were talking, it would not make sense to continue because the message would not reach them. Back in the old days, I used to use a simple technique to capture my students' attention. I was 19 years old and teaching some rebellious teenagers who were more interested in the opposite sex than learning. Whenever their gaze wandered elsewhere, I stopped talking and remained silent. I sometimes kept my hand frozen in mid-air. The silence rotated their heads and eyelids back to me. On other occasions, I amplified my tone of voice or clapped my hands to draw their attention. Smiling is a universal gesture that is controlled by the brain. The genuine smile spreads over the entire face and puts warmth into the eyes. It separates the lips to reveal both the upper and lower teeth. Wrinkles appear at the edges of the eyes and below the eyes. This is the smile that is evoked when you're happy, agreeable, hospitable, or feel at ease during your interaction with others. It is the smile that is reserved for special people, special circumstances, and special achievements. The lips are stretched horizontally and the cheeks are lifted like this. However, the teeth remain concealed behind the tight lips. This is indeed a fake smile and may appear when greeting strangers or people with whom you feel uncomfortable. Remember, when we are indeed happy, we automatically display our teeth. If the lips are stretched tightly across the face, it would mean that the person is trying to hide their true emotions and feelings or suppress their anger or irritation. You see? If the lips are relaxed, then the person has lost interest and you have therefore been excluded from the conversation. Like this. Of course, we also need to remember that people who have bad teeth, rotten teeth, or tooth decay may also try to hide them behind their lips. This is the act of spreading the lips to reveal only the upper teeth. The lower teeth remain hidden behind the bottom lip to keep the truth from leaping out. The eyes remain cold, dull, and impersonal. This is what it looks like. The forced smile is often used as a smile of courtesy when you do not want to hurt someone's feeling. For example, someone you like and respect may have cracked a stale joke or made a pathetic remark. What do you usually do? You simply force a smile in order to be polite and maintain the flow of conversation. The lips are usually pressed together or slightly parted, and only one side of the lips move slightly upwards. Look here. It denotes smugness, conceitedness, and dominance. However, it is also used to show that you are good-natured and humorous, and it allows you to gain people's attention. This is the act of placing the chin in the palms or the back of both hands. It could be as follows. The elbows are placed on a table or on the legs just above the knees to provide additional support for the head. The lips may be closed and relaxed or slightly parted to expose the teeth. The eyes are warm and friendly, and the pupils are bigger than usual. This gesture is used by women and by homosexuals to show men that they are fully focused and interested in the conversation. At the same time, they are presenting their faces for the men to admire and acknowledge. This would be the ideal moment to look at them straight in the eyes, open your arms, expose your palms, and compliment them about their looks. However, before jumping to conclusions, we need to be careful and observe other nonverbal signals. If the eyelids or head started to droop, it would mean that boredom has crept in and you are becoming excluded from their list of admirers. People make one common mistake before their interaction with others, be it social or professional. They seek and find endless arguments against participating in the meeting. They behave like lawyers before a trial in court. They build a solid case against the other participants. They concentrate on the people they do not like and find as many reasons as possible to support their argument. They concentrate on the negative aspects related to the venue and circumstances of the meeting. They consciously feed their subconscious mind with negative thoughts. And these thoughts are accompanied by true emotions. These thoughts and emotions will be picked up by the subconscious mind and the appropriate results will be rendered. The subconscious mind is saying, I fully understand what you want. I am convinced because you have repeated your requests innumerable times. No wonder they find it difficult to smile genuinely during the interaction. And if they do smile, their teeth remain hidden behind their lip. Their eyes remain cold and impersonal. No wonder they find it difficult to be warm and friendly and receptive to others. This is simply because their behavior is steered by their brain. After all, they're getting exactly what they asked for. Think about it. Haven't you done this many times in your life? My philosophy is straightforward. If you have weighed all the advantages and disadvantages and have decided to attend the social or business get-together, then fuel your brain with proper data. Think about all the positive things related to the meeting and all the good things you can acquire from the interaction. Think about all those nice and interesting people you would meet. Think about the people who are genuinely attracted to you. Feed your brain with positive thoughts before the meeting. This can be done hours or even days before the meeting, depending on the gravity of the situation. Do so, and your brain will not let you down. On the day of the meeting, the brain will react and manage the facial muscles to produce a natural and genuine smile. A smile that will envelope your whole face. Your arms will automatically move away from your body with the palms facing up to show your engagement and your receptiveness. You are poised and confident, and your body is emitting positive signals. People will notice that and will reciprocate. Remember, seek and you will find. Seek good things and you will find good things. seek problems, and problems will appear. The more authority you have, the more people would be inclined to listen to you without interruption. The hands can be used as a tool to establish your authority, enhance your communication, and create harmony. By gesticulating, we capture the listener's attention and make it easier for them to understand and retain the message that is being sent. Studies have proven that it is easier to recall details of stories that are told using hand gestures. We show our enthusiasm and engagement by moving our arms energetically. When you unconsciously expose your open palms at waist length to another person, you show them that you are honest, sincere, and obedient. This will draw them into the conversation and increase their involvement. The open palms also help you to become more calm and composed. It gives you this inexplicable balance. When we move one or both palms to the chest when speaking, we are literally drawing the listener towards us. It therefore becomes easier for them to collaborate with us and accept our point of view because we are now on the same side. When we place one or both hands in the handshake position, we are literally trying to shorten the distance, grasp the interlocutor's hand, shake it, and pass on the message. When we want to put emphasis on a specific point, we bring the tips of the thumb and index finger to touch each other. Rubbing the palms against each other shows positive expectations. However, the pace at which this happens is an indication of who will benefit from the situation. For example, if a car dealer rubs his palms together quickly and says that he has the right car for you, it means that he expects you to benefit from the transaction. However, if he rubbed his palms together slowly, it would mean that he was being duplicitous and expected to benefit from the deal. Of course, do not let yourself get carried away. The person rubbing his palms briskly together on a cold day is simply doing so to put warmth into his hand. The numerous nerve connections between the hands and the brain allow the brain to control the movements of the hands. As a result, whatever goes on in the mind will be reflected in the hand movements. Whenever a child tells a lie, both hands move up swiftly to cover the mouth. This is because the brain is sending signals to the hands, one hand, both hands, dictating them to cover the mouth and hence block the lie from leaping out. As we grow older, this gesture becomes more refined and therefore less obvious. Some adults may simply cover their mouth with their hand with the thumb pressed on the cheek. This is the least refined adult gesture. Please note that if the listener were using this gesture when you were talking, it would mean that they thought you were lying or they were simply disapproving with you. it would be wise to stop blundering and ask them to comment on your statement. This will force them to remove the hand from the mouth and express their feelings. This in turn will allow you to take the appropriate action. In most cases, the hand will move up to the face more slowly, and the fingers will delicately rub the region around the mouth or touch or rub the area below the nose in order to suppress the deceitful words. Some liars will rub or touch their eye or the region below their eyes. Look at me. I'm telling the truth. This is once again generated by the brain, which does not want the eyes to look at the person to whom you are lying. So when your boss is telling you that you have an excellent idea and that he will benefit from it, do not believe him. Once again, if the listener were using this gesture when you were speaking, it would mean that they felt you were lying and were trying to avoid looking at you, the liar. We are too cultured and refined to cover the eye with the hand or close the eyes. However, in extreme situations, it happens. During the conversation, your so-called friend may not look at you, scratch his neck a few times and say, "I would like to say that I fully agree with you and I do understand the way you feel." Do not believe him. If someone has told you a lie and suspects that you have decoded their true intention, they may pull at their collar using the index finger, like this. "Yes, I had a chance to go through the solution requirement document." When you are speaking, your conversation party may rub their ear, stretch the ear lobe, the poor ear lobe, twist the whole ear to block the entrance, or use their fingertip to drill around the internal surface. This indicates that they are trying to block the sound waves of your lies from reaching their eardrum. On the other hand, however, it may also mean that they have had enough of your speech and would like to express themselves. If you ignore these signals, they will remain negative and hence unreceptive. This may destroy the communication protocol. Now, having pointed out the truth behind hand movements, it is important to underline that we should not jump to conclusions based on only one gesture. We should not judge people based on one nonverbal signal. We should not analyze only one nonverbal signal in isolation. We need to connect all the signals before we come to a conclusion. We should study the whole group of nonverbal signals before formulating an opinion. Of course, the more signals you detect, the more accurate your deduction. Remember, we will not understand a sentence by looking at one word. During our interaction with others, we receive and rely on the audio-visual message that is sent by the speaker. Our brain picks up this message and reacts by emitting various evaluation gestures based on our emotional state. If you were given a presentation, it would be very important to recognize and decode these gestures that are coming from the audience. It also comes in handy when promoting your service to a potential customer or pitching an idea to upper management. If you do not recognize these evaluation signals and their accompanying signals, it may lead to failure. If you, the listener, are engrossed and receptive to the content of the speech, you will place your hand on the cheek. The index finger rests casually on the cheek and points upwards. The thumb rests loosely on the side of the cheek, and the remaining fingers are curled into a fist. This is what it looks like. When boredom starts to creep in, the curled fingers will open and all 4 fingers will be pointing upwards. The heel of the palm will now support the chin, and the thumb is alongside the jaw. Look at me. Maybe it's a bit lower, like this. Alternatively, evaluation is also shown with the curled fingers resting in front of the chin. The index finger points upwards with the thumb resting loosely at the side of the cheek. When boredom starts to sink in, your body language will gradually change to convey your feelings. Your thumb will move under the chin to support your head and keep you awake. However, when you have reached your boredom threshold, the heel of the palm will move under the chin to assist the thumb to support your limp head. And the remaining fingers will now curl into a fist on the cheek. It looks like this. And you drift off to sleep. When someone is asked for their opinion, suggestion, or solution to a problem, their hand will move to the chin, and the chin stroking or beard stroking gesture is triggered. This gesture will surely buy them some additional time, as everyone understands that the decision-making process has started. They are weighing the pros and cons and are trying to find a solution. If you were a sales representative, it would be foolhardy for you to interrupt. Simply wait and observe the nonverbal signals that follow. If negative gestures like sitting back, folding the arms, or crossing the legs appear, it means that the verbal message that is about to follow will not be in your favor. It will be like this. In this case, you should take quick action, break the silence, and attempt to review one of the points you had made earlier. For example, you can lean forward, bow your head, open your arms and show your palms and say, "I see you would like me to clarify something." This behavior will untie their arms and legs and make them more receptive. Remember, once the no is verbalized, it will be impossible or very difficult to bring them back into a receptive mood and make them change their minds. The bottom line is to detect the no before it leaves the mouth. If the chin stroking is followed by positive gestures like sitting forward or leaning forward with open arms and a smile, then it would mean that the decision would be in your favor. If someone is wearing glasses, they may not use the chin stroking decision-making gesture. Instead, they may take off their glasses and put one arm of the frame in their mouth. People who smoke pipes will put the pipe in their mouth. Others may simply chew on their pens. They will keep these objects in or around their mouth until a decision has been reached. Now, these are all extensions of the childhood nipple sucking or thumb sucking. The sucking reflex evokes a soothing feeling and makes them more reassured before making the decision. The accompanying signals will reveal the results of their contemplation. The arm fold gesture is the act of crossing the arms over the chest and hiding your hand or hands under the upper arms. This is the position we adopt when we agree with someone or feel insecure or threatened. By covering the chest, we protect our heart and regain the feeling of safety. However, by doing so, we look angry and negative. If you noticed that someone were using this gesture, when you were speaking, you would have to take the right measures to unfold their arms and make them more receptive. A simple technique would be to lean forward with a smile, open your arms with your palms facing up, and you can say, "What do you think about my idea? Would you like further clarification?" Remember, as long as the arms remain crossed, there will be a barrier that prevents proper and sincere communication. If the arm fold is accompanied by clenched fists, look here, or the upper arms are tightly gripped by the hands, it would simply signify greater animosity and resistance. If it is accompanied with the thumb pointing upwards, like this, it denotes a negative or defensive attitude. At the same time, it reflects an air of confidence, authority, and superiority. As the arm fold gesture is a bit too obvious, it is sometimes replaced by the partial arm fold gesture. It is often used at social get-together by newcomers when they interact with strangers. It is also used when people are intimidated. One arm will move across the body to grab hold of the other arm to form a defensive wall. This is the defensive wall. Or both arms will cover the pelvic region with one hand placed on top of the other. In some cases, one arm may move across the body to fiddle with the cuff or adjust the watch or the finger ring. Some people use both hands to hold their glasses or cups to create a defensive wall, even though the cup or glass is very light. It's like this, you're holding it like this. The next time you go to a party, observe how people's body language changes under the influence of alcohol. Now, when the sober guy walks across the room to ask the gorgeously looking girl for a dance, he will fiddle with his cuff or watch or ring. He will create a barrier to protect the chest so as to feel more secure. However, after a few shots, he staggers boldly across the room with his arms wildly open, his palms facing up, and a playful smile on his face. Now, please do not misunderstand me, because my intention is not to promote the usage of alcohol. However, upon consumption, the necessity to create a defensive wall simply disappears. We become more open, outgoing, and expansive. In my next video, I will give you more examples of gestures that you should perceive and decrypt. This will help you to detect people's true intentions. This gesture is used to suppress frustration, hostility, or anxiety, and at the same time, it displays confidence. It may occur when you are trying to convey your point of view and you notice that you are unable to convince the listener. The hands may be clenched in front of the face at chin's height, with the elbows resting on the desk. The clenched hands may rest on the desk or on the lap when you are seated, or held in front of the pelvic region when you are standing. Now, by doing so, the person is able to regain the feeling of security and confidence. It has been observed that the higher the hands are held, the more negative will be the initiator's mood. This gesture can be misleading because the smile that usually accompanies it makes the initiator look kind of confident. The arms are bent at the elbows with the palms resting on the hips. This gesture reflects the person's intention to jump into action. It says, I am ready to tackle the problem. I am prepared to deal with a subordinate who has overstepped the mark. Or, you have trespassed my territorial zone, and you dare not take another step further without my permission. Pushing the elbows to the sides and exposing the heart will make them look bigger and more indomitable. If someone rubs or massages the neck, the back of their neck, and looks down when talking to you, it will most likely mean that they are lying. This gesture may also be a reflection of negative feelings. If you are frustrated, critical, angry, or you feel intimidated, the neck rub may be preceded by a slap. For example, if you have revealed someone's error during a discussion, the person may first slap their neck and then begin the neck massage. They are non-verbally showing their annoyance and telling you that you are being a real pain in the neck for mentioning their blunder. It looks like this. Yes, that's true. I should have reviewed the software specification before the meeting. However, if the person slaps their forehead, they are non-verbally communicating that they have recognized their flaws. They are not intimidated or displeased by the fact that you have brought it to their attention. It will be as follows. Exactly. I should have reviewed the software specifications before the meeting. Now, people who slap their foreheads are perceived as being outgoing and flexible. When someone sits back in their chair and clasps their hands behind their head, they are non-verbally communicating their strength, confidence, and superiority. This condescending attitude is often adopted by the boss who wants to show his subordinate that he is more intelligent and more important. He has the answers to all the questions. The hand chop is the act of moving one hand up and down to beat the palm of the other hand. This is an authoritative gesture that is used to put emphasis on a statement. However, if used in an aggressive way, it may unsettle the audience. It's like saying, I'm going to beat the message into you. I personally prefer to use the finger countdown gesture, where one finger is used to beat the other finger to increase the impact of this statement. I think it's better. Some people stand and walk with one hand holding the other behind the back. The head is held high, and the chest and pelvic regions are fully exposed as an act of fearlessness. Let me show you. They are unconsciously sending the message that they are strong, confident, and in full control of the situation. This gesture is used by police officers wearing weapons, headmasters, school teachers, and the authoritative boss. Some people may hold the wrist of the other hand behind their back, right, like this. This would mean that they were trying to restrain a negative attitude. They could be nervous, frustrated, or angry, and they are making an attempt to control themselves. As the nervousness, frustration, or anger increases, one hand will move farther up to hold the forearm or the elbow. I have seen this gesture in the waiting room of hospitals and outpatients clinic. It is also common among interviewees, students waiting for an oral examination, and sales representative waiting in the reception room of a company. Let me show you. It's like this. Thank you for your patience. In the next video, I will concentrate on the palms. The palm up gesture is used to show that you are not aggressive. You are open, honest, and obedient. If you use the palm up gesture when talking to someone, they will feel that you are being truthful with them. If you use this gesture when asking someone to do something for you, there is a great likelihood that they will willingly accommodate. It would be like this. Could you please photocopy the agreement for me? Note how the head lowers to show humbleness. The palm down gesture denotes power and authority. It is used to beat the other person into obedience and take control of the situation. If this gesture is used when asking your secretary or subordinate to do something, they will surely comply, but with distaste. It would look like this. Photocopy the agreement and then take it to HR. The dominative and aggressive person may use the palm down gesture, but to reinforce it, he will curl his fingers into a fist and use the index finger to point and give orders. It would look like this. Photocopy the agreement, take it to HR, and when you come back, make me some coffee. Of course, your subordinate will have to comply because of your hierarchical advantage. However, a co-worker of the same professional status may use his middle finger to react to your index finger. Let me give you a life example. I was 25 years old and had just graduated from university. I was about to start my postgraduate internship in gynecology. I walked into the ward, entered the doctor's room, and introduced myself with pride. I was happy. One of the doctors looked down at me, curled his fingers into a fist, and with his palm facing down, he used his index fingers. He pointed at me and said, "Young man, we are going on a ward round. This is the kettle, this is the coffee. Make coffee for us." And they left the room. 30 minutes later, when they returned and realized that they were not greeted with the smell of freshly made coffee, he said angrily, "Why haven't you prepared the coffee yet?" I looked at him calmly and said, "Don't you know how to make coffee?" His jaw dropped and he lost his speech. During my internship, he never said a word to me. Had he been my boss, I would have had to comply, but of course unwillingly. He was not my boss, so I retaliated. The legs and feet are the most distal parts of the body in relation to the brain. This is why people are least aware of their leg gestures and almost unaware of the position and movements of their feet. So, if you want to gather information as to someone's true feelings and intentions, pay more attention to the legs and feet. If you could literally move away the desk from someone, you would notice a variety of leg gestures. The seemingly calm and composed person may be repeatedly tapping or swinging their feet to reveal their frustration. Some people may sit at the edge of their chair with the palms of the hands touching each other and resting between the legs. This gesture occurs when someone feels insecure and intimidated, especially in places like banks, city halls, tax offices, or during an interview. The seemingly positive, relaxed, and open person may have their ankles locked together under their chair. This allows them to control their negative emotions or defensive attitude, or hide their nervousness or insecurity. When a shy woman locks the top of one foot around the leg, you can be sure that she has retreated into her cocoon and will remain reserved and defensive unless you take measures to open the padlock and make her more receptive. Crossing the legs, regardless of whether you are seated or standing, will serve to protect the genital region and shows that you are negative, insecure, or defensive. However, we should be careful in the case of women who cross their legs when seated because it simply behooves them to do so, and it makes them look like the perfect lady. Of course, People who cross their legs when standing claim that it makes them feel warmer. The bottom line is that when you want to feel warm, the legs are tightly pressed against each other, as opposed to when you feel nervous, intimidated, or defensive. During an interaction with others, the position of the feet will reveal what is going on in the mind. Let's say you were talking to a woman who were looking at you and smiling. However, her body were not facing yours. She is looking at you, of course. Her body is not facing yours, like this. Okay. And her legs are crossed with her feet pointing towards the door. You are standing there. What would it mean? It would mean that she has just excluded you from the conversation, and both her body and feet were literally dragging her out of the room. Instead, she sat there talking to you because she was trying to be patient and polite and did not want to hurt your feelings. The figure 4 gesture is the act of placing the lower part of one leg to rest laterally on the thigh of the other leg to form the figure 4. It shows that the person has adopted a combative and competitive approach. At the same time, it gives the perception that they are relaxed but commanding. The position may be reinforced with one or both hands holding the upper leg to create a padlock. The individual has now become bullheaded, and it will be more difficult to open the padlock and bring them back in the receptive mood. In Arab and Asian cultures, people take off their shoes before entering their homes or a mosque. This is because the soles of their shoes have been in many places and are therefore considered to be dirty. So if you are one of the figure 4 users, please refrain from doing so in such cultures, as you may be perceived as impolite and offensive. Remember, you will be judged by your attitude and behavior. In our contemporary world, people are afraid of being rejected. Rejection is a severe blow to one's self-esteem, and therefore men will only make advances to a woman if success is certain. This is where the knowledge of flirtatious signals come in handy. Both men and women unconsciously broadcast a package of nonverbal signals to communicate that they are intimately interested in another person. The body adopts an erect posture with the backbone rigid. The chest or breast bulges out to greet the opposite sex. The stomach is pulled in, and the process of breathing is temporarily terminated. The facial muscles are automatically activated and the eyes start to glitter. The male will reach out to adjust his tie or cufflinks or just straighten his jacket. He may also smooth down his hair. He will maintain eye contact for longer periods of time, and the pupils will grow bigger and bigger as his excitement increases. His gaze will wander to different intimate geographical regions below the woman's neck to punctuate his interest. He will reach out more often to puff on his cigarette or to take a sip of drink. Or he will place his thumbs under his belt with the remaining fingers directed towards the genital region. Women will decode these signals instantaneously because of their power of intuition and perceptiveness. However, the majority of men are blind to women's body language, and this usually leads to their downfall. In the next video, I will try to mitigate the risk of this downfall by decrypting the meaning of female flirtatious gestures. However, please remember not to jump to conclusions based on only one nonverbal signal. You need to study a group of nonverbal signals before formulating your opinion. A woman whose interest has been aroused will fling their hair back with a toss of her head. She may also stroke or twirl or pull her hair back. By doing so, she exposes her face and neck and becomes more seductive. When a woman opens her mouth slightly and licks her lips, it shows that she may be sexually aroused. The licking begins at the corner of the mouth and gradually moves over the upper lip to increase its wetness. The lip lick may be replaced by parted lips, which become more appealing through the usage of saliva or lipstick. This serves to reinforce the invitation and punctuate the woman's readiness. The reaction of the pupils is involuntary. When you enter a dark room, the pupils will dilate to allow more light to enter. When a woman is attracted to a man and is sexually aroused, her pupils will also dilate. Researchers have shown that photos of people with enlarged pupils are more captivating than those with smaller pupils. A woman indicates her interest in the opposite sex by crossing her leg over the knee of the other leg, with the dangling shoe pointing towards the target. The foot may be pushed in and out of the shoe to enhance the effect. Sometimes one leg may be crossed under the other leg, with the knee exposed and pointing to the person to whom she is attracted. The most alluring position is when the legs are crossed and tightly pressed against each other. When a woman exposes her palms and wrists and caresses cylindrical objects, they are nonverbally communicating their intention. People have the natural inclination to imitate the behavior of those with whom they are in agreement. The mimicry will last as long as mutual agreement and understanding exist. Their tone of voices and pace at which they communicate will be similar. They will adopt the same postures and gesticulate in the same way. They will raise and lower their voices in unison. If one person folds or unfolds their arms or legs, the other person will do likewise. If they gesticulate to put more emphasis on the verbal message, the other person will follow accordingly. Every time one person reaches out to take a sip of coffee, the other will follow diligently. This is how the human brain dictates and governs our body movements. If we like someone and feel at ease in their company, we will unconsciously copy their body movements with exactness. Use this knowledge in your next encounter and you will capture people's heart and win their friendship. Stand and move like them. Mirror their behavior and rapport will be established. However, it is important to remember two rules. Do not be over scrupulous and too conspicuous in your behavior, as they would feel you are mocking them. If your boss sits back in his chair, clasps his hands behind the head, and assumes the figure 4 position when you were discussing your promotion, do not emulate his behavior. It would offend him and he would begin to despise you without even understanding the reason for that. He would most likely seek and find multiple reasons for not promoting you. Sooner or later, it would probably lead to your demotion or downfall. If your boss rubs his chin or beard when contemplating on your pay rise, do not emulate his behavior. Do not fill your mouth with objects when he does so. Simply wait and observe the nonverbal signals that follow and then take relevant measures. Please use your judgment and copy people's body language in the appropriate situations. Every human being has their own territory that is distinctly defined by an invisible boundary. This is the space or zone around the body to which they claim ownership. They feel calm and comfortable and secure within this zone. The amount of space they reserve for themselves will differ depending on the people with whom they are interacting and the circumstances. The margin for lovers, partners, spouses will be from 0 to around 15 centimeters. For children, relatives, and close friends, it will expand from 15 centimeters to about 45 centimeters. At a social get-together or office gatherings, the acceptable distance varies from 4 to 6 centimeters to over 1 meter, depending on the place of residence. Europeans will have a smaller personal zone as opposed to the Australians, whereas Asians will need less personal space in relation to the Americans. People living in heavily populated places will require a smaller amount of personal space as opposed to those residing in sparsely populated areas. Now, what do you think would happen if your personal territory were penetrated by an unwanted person? You would feel as if you were being attacked by that person. You begin to feel insecure, annoyed, and irritated. Your brain will jump into action and send commands to your legs to take that step back, to regain access to your territory and hence increase your feeling of safety and confidence. Well, in some cases, only the upper part of the body will move back from the intruder. The intruder, who has a smaller personal space will react by moving forward to regain his comfort and security. This is when the comical dance begins. The person with the smaller personal zone will move forward and therefore dictates the direction of the dance. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now the person moving back would feel that they were being molested. On the other hand, the intruder would feel that the person retreating were cold, impersonal, and unfriendly. For sure, this will have a negative impact on the relationship. In my next video, I will give you an example of how I deal with the invasion of my personal zone. This will be an extract from my course on the art of communications, Become a Master Communicator. When I greet my business clients and shake their hands, I quickly measure the distance between their hand and their body. If the distance is big, it means that they require a lot of personal space. I would therefore have to be careful not to destroy it because they would feel insecure and uncomfortable, and the outcome of the interaction would be negative. If, on the other hand, the distance between their hand and body were very small, like this, it would mean that they required little space to feel confident and function effectively. In this case, I know that I would have to prepare myself mentally for penetration of my personal zone. I would have to counteract the brain and remain immobile whenever they take that significant step forward. Let me give you an example. When my territorial border was shattered into pieces and my personal space became dense. One day, I was intercepted on the corridor by a female sales manager of a company with which I had been cooperating. The manager was a gorgeous young woman with an appealing personality. She had stopped because she needed my service as a coach. Now, she was tall, taller than me. And when she reached out to shake my hand, she was within 20 centimeters of me. I could feel her breathing down my neck. For your information, my personal space of comfort and security is about 40 centimeters. So you can imagine how my poor body was vibrating. My heart pounded shamelessly. My blood vessels were bursting. My brain was frantically sending signals to my legs to retreat. However, understanding the rules, I stood my ground. I looked her straight in the eyes and literally drew myself into the conversation. I became her coach and trained her for the next 6 months. Had I taken that frantic step back, she would have felt that I was cold, unfriendly, and lacking personality. The outcome of that short conversation would have been disastrous. So what is the moral? Invasion of your personal space does not necessarily have to be connected with sexual availability or desire. Conversely, maintaining a long distance from your interlocutor does not necessarily mean that you are cold and unsociable. Once you understand the rules, it will be easier for you to manage your brain. If you do not manage the brain, you will be managed by the brain. People have the tendency to spread or position parts of their body on other objects. These objects could be their office chair, their desk, or whatever object they desire to control. This allows them to claim ownership of the objects as well as the space between their body and the object. They may place their jacket or bag on a chair in the boardroom to claim ownership and hence reserve the seat. The next time you walk into someone's house or office, do not make the mistake of sitting on their chairs. This would lead to animosity and will have a negative impact on the outcome of the meeting. I once tried this on one of my students just for the sake of supporting the theory. As the sales director, he had his own office with a posh chair and desk. When I arrived at the company that day, he was standing on the corridor and engaged in a conversation with the president. Well, we had known each other very well, so after the usual cordial greetings, he asked me to proceed to his office and promised to join me within a few minutes. I entered his office, but instead of taking my usual place on the settee, I went around the desk and occupied his chair. A few minutes later, he walked into the room, looked at me, and stopped in mid-stride. His right arm moved across to grab hold of his left arm. His smile disappeared for a split second, and his lips pressed against each other. After the experiment, he admitted that when he saw me in his chair, he felt intimidated and automatically lost his composure. That day, we decided to ignore the agenda and concentrate on the essence of ownership gestures. There is one place where establishing ownership gestures becomes evident. You're on the plane and have acquainted yourself with your window seat or aisle seat. The middle seat passenger approaches, greets you politely, implants his body into his seat, spreads his shoulder to capture as much personal space as possible, and then place his arms on both arm rests. This is when the armrest battle begins, and it may continue throughout the flight, as each passenger will try to manage their personal space effectively. Good news or bad news? Which do you want first? Well, the bad news is that this is the last video of this course. I hope that you have enjoyed it and will use the knowledge that I have provided you in your business and social interactions. The good news, however, is that this is not our only Udemy production. Please check my instructor page and take a look at our other courses. I'm sure you will find something that suits your needs. Additionally, if you would like to know more about ENR Studio and our endeavors, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you very much again, and all the best.